Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the FCS Prep Podcast, where I am your host, Dr. Keith Fairclough, and we are still talking about relationships. Today, let me just give you a forewarning. It's probably going to be an inflammatory topic. My goal is not to offend anybody. My goal is not to purposefully be inflammatory. I don't believe in making content for the purpose of clicks and likes and views and shares and things like that that just get people stirred up. If you have spent any time watching my podcast, you know that my goal is to improve the world by improving you. And sometimes when we need to improve ourselves, it means putting a spotlight on something that maybe we shouldn't be doing. Maybe we think we should be doing that, but it's not necessarily the right thing to do. It's not beneficial for us. A long story short, sometimes we need to be called out on stuff. We may not like it, but we know that's what's good for us, all right? Before we get into it, make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Well, I guess you can't comment yet, but you can comment as you're watching, but subscribe, like, you share. Listen, this is going to be phenomenal information for everybody that's watching and everybody that can listen and anybody this is going to get out to. All right. So let's hop into it. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about why we should not be having sex before marriage. No, I'm not coming from the Bible. No, I'm not coming from my own personal point of view, although that is my personal point of view, but I'm not coming from that. I'm coming from what just works, what naturally works, and what sex outside of marriage, the damage that I could actually do to us, to our children, to our communities, to our society, to our mental health, to our bodies, to our self-esteem, to our belief system. Sex is too important of a thing for it to be treated as just a fling, just another activity to hop into. So before I even go any further, let me also just address that I can't speak for all societies, but I know here in the States, we look at sex as if it's going to your kid's karate practice. Like it has that level of meaning, or at least that's how people make it out to be, where it doesn't mean anything. And it is probably one of the most intimate, one of the highest forms of the expression of love between a man and a woman. And they treat it as if it's nothing. It's like taking a Bugatti or a $100 million mansion and just trashing it and dogging it out and just letting people treat it any kind of way. That wouldn't make any sense. It's like taking a beautiful diamond ring and just tossing it wherever, leaving around haphazardly. That wouldn't make any sense. And sex is infinitely more important, infinitely more valuable than a ring, than a car, and than a house. So important to get that. I know what society says. I know they show it in all the shows. I know they show it, just everywhere. It's in the movies. It's on social media. It's pressed. It's pushed. Podcasts are out there saying, like, try before you buy, as if women are like, used cars or something like that. Like, it's disgusting. It's sickening because it devalues not only the act of sex, but it devalues the people who are giving it, who are doing it. And we may not look at it that way. Some of us may not look at it that way. But when you really think about what it is and how precious it is, and what it really is saying, it's saying, I trust you enough. For a woman, I trust you enough to enter my body. And for the guy, it's saying, I love you enough and I appreciate the fact that you trust me and that we've built this bond and this connection where you will allow me to enter you. Like, it's that serious. It's that important. It's not just some cheap fling that pornography makes it out to be. It's not a money-making machine. That's not it's not normal. I'm just gonna point out this. It's not normal for a woman to give up the most precious thing she has, the most precious thing she could possibly give to somebody, just willy-nilly. Just anybody, any old guy walking down the street, like, that's not normal. You know the amount of abuse and trauma and rejection and hurt that's behind that? Gosh, loaded with it. And for guys to think the only way they can be accepted or they're a man is if you have a body count that's high, that's a problem. That's something that for society has pushed, and it's not right. It's not right, because the things I'm about to go over right now are not even an exhaustive list, but just some of the main things that I was thinking about that came to my head when I was thinking about the dangers of having sex outside of marriage, outside of a loving, safe, committed relationship where you say, I'm willing to give myself to you forever, and you're willing to give yourself to me forever. That's where sex belongs, because that's where the true expression of love can happen. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the sex outside of marriage increases your chances at getting a sexually transmitted disease. I know maybe it's not pushed out there or talked about a lot, but guys, they're still there. AIDS, chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, all that stuff, it's still out there. Alive and well, crabs, all that stuff is out there, alive and well. Do they have some medication to treat some of these things? Yes. But who wants to get an incurable disease when you can just wait? You can just wait until you get married. Find someone that you love, that you want to give yourself to. Why would you want to put yourself in a situation where you now have a lifelong disease that if you have integrity, you will share with the person who you're going to be sleeping with, and at least give them the opportunity to make the decision on whether they want to continue with you? Who wants to be in that situation? That's what sex outside of marriage can produce. It can produce an increased chance of you getting an STD. And the thing about STDs, here's the thing that's so scary. You could spread it to so many other people before you even know you have it. That can't happen if you only wait until marriage to have sex, to be intimate. So that's STDs, guys. And so another part of having sex outside of marriage, it increases the chances that you'll only get conditional love in whatever relationship that you're in. Now, if you watch any of my other videos, when we talk about conditional love, it's a contract. It means that I will give you this if you give me that. I will give you love if you give me sex, in this case. And as long as you give me sex, I will give you love, supposedly, right? Because we know that just because you're sleeping with someone doesn't mean they love you, and it also doesn't mean they're going to stay with you. That's what we do. So it's going to increase your chance of getting those relationships. And guess what? When you get into relationships, when you get into these situations where you're getting conditional love, you are sacrificing something on the inside. You're violating one of your own beliefs. You have to violate one of your own beliefs to engage in a contract like this. In that conditional love contract, you're going to be dying on the inside. And maybe you'll hold on to hope, like maybe he'll love me if I just continue to do this. Maybe if I could just continue to give him every part of my body, if I continue to engage in any type of sexual activity with him, maybe one day, maybe he'll love me. I've yet to see it. I've yet to see it work, ever. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that there's never been anybody who's had sex before marriage and had a healthy relationship later on. That's not what I'm saying, right? Because generally speaking, in those relationships, there's something that's working. There's some type of connection. There's some type of love. There's a plan that we're going to get together, and they end up getting together and having a healthy relationship and working on that down the line. What I'm saying is, but usually those people are going in like, hey, we're trying to get married. Not like, oh, maybe, hopefully, one day, maybe if I just give to him and give to her, like, no. Is this going to increase your chance of getting that conditional love, which again, when we operate and just get conditional love, it leads to hurt, it leads to pain, it leads to rejection, it leads to bitterness, all these things that tear us down from the inside out. And it doesn't get any better, because what we end up doing is we start setting patterns in our brain, and then we start asking ourselves questions. Why do I keep getting the same guys? Why do I keep getting the same girls? Because you have trained your brain literally to attract these people to you, and we have to break that. But that's what happens when we keep giving ourselves to others outside of marriage. We keep having sex outside of marriage. The next point. Sex outside of marriage impairs your judgment. It impairs your judgment. You're not going to be able to think as objectively as you would if you weren't having sex. Some of the things that we say to each other, some of the actions that we see each other doing, we'll let some things pass. We'll let some things slide, right? Well, I know he loves me. Well, I know she loves me. I know it's okay. Yeah, I know she did that and said that, but it's okay. I'm not going to address that. That's what it does. It impairs. We miss the red flags. There's a lot of times when it's like that person was no good for you from the beginning. How did you not see that? Like, they didn't hide it at all. They were literally no good for you from the beginning. Like, they didn't hide anything. But because our judgment was impaired, because we're giving ourselves in that situation, in that way, having sex, our judgment was impaired. We can't enter. Like, listen, go back and check the other videos. I'm telling you right now, we cannot enter a relationship without intent, without foreknowledge, without really knowing what our plan and what our goal is for the relationship. And so being that we're going into it with that knowledge, with that understanding, we must withhold that so we can make the best decision. I mean, think of it like this. Think of it like a job interview. How objective will the interviewer be if every time they ask you a question, you're sliding them $100 bill, and then you slide them another $100 bill, then you slide them another $100 bill, and then you say, oh, well, I'll put your kid through college, or I'll do this, I'll do that. How objective can that reviewer be, right? Are they really going to catch all the stuff that is bad for the company if they're continuously bribed, if they're continuously engaging in that type of, situation with that person? Of course not. They're not going to be objective. We cannot have sex outside of marriage. It's going to impair our judgment. Two more things. This one's going to be a little bit heavy, so just kind of stick with me. But sex outside of marriage increases the chances of having single parent homes. Why is this a problem? This is a problem because we know historically that single parent homes, typically those led by women, kids suffer greatly. When men are not in the house, when they're not in the family, when they're not there raising their kids, kids suffer greatly. It's not because women are bad. It's not because they're weak. It's not because of anything like that. No negative thing like that. Children are designed to be raised by two parents, plain and simple. They do fare a little bit better in single family homes with the father as the lead because fathers have the discipline and they have all that stuff down. So that's children deserve. Let me say this. They have a right to have both parents in their life. Children, because they don't get a chance to decide if they're going to come or not. They don't get a chance to decide, oh, well, am I going to be in this family or not? They don't get a chance to come to say that. They don't get a chance to interview their parents. They don't get a chance to say, yeah, they don't get that chance. So every single child has a God-given right to two parents. And when we are having sex outside of marriage, when we're just sleeping around, when we're just having kids haphazardly, we're putting them in a bad situation. Kids from single parent homes like that, they struggle in school, they struggle with mental health, they struggle with their self-esteem, they struggle with their grades, they struggle with social interactions. A lot, they get in trouble. They have poor outcomes after school. A lot of times they can become violent. A lot of times they could beget more teenage pregnancy or pregnancy period. The list goes on. These things are things that plague our society. And we want to go and demonize these kids like, oh my gosh, how could they do that? They're so bad, they're so this. And a lot of them are coming from single parent homes where one parent's getting completely and totally overwhelmed. That's because that system was not designed to operate with just one parent. They need a father. They need a mother. They need to see a husband and a wife loving each other the right way. They need to see that. They need to experience that. Kids shouldn't have to go to school, and when the parents come and they see everyone else's parents come and their parent never comes, they shouldn't have to experience that. Not because you decide to sleep around and have kids outside of wedlock, like they shouldn't have to experience that. And then don't get me started, unlike the abortion industry, like they make money off of killing kids. Literally. They will push and push and push for people to have sex so they can have abortions because that's how they make money. So you think about I won't even get into all that. Anybody who knows me, I have strong feelings about abortion, very strong feelings about abortion, but I'm not going to get into it. But that's the fact. That's a matter of fact. Has nothing to do with my opinion or my feelings about it. That's a matter of fact. When you look at the abortion industry, they make money off of killing kids. period. That's just what they do, right? That's their game. That's what happens when we're having sex outside of marriage. We're literally killing our kids in that sense, right? We're putting our kids in the worst situation. A lot of times we're putting kids in the same situations that we grew up in, that we said we hated, and yet we're putting our same children in the exact same situation that we grew up in, and we say we hated, and we say we didn't like the fact that our father wasn't there, and we said we didn't like the fact that our mom had to work five jobs or whatever. We said we didn't want that, but then we end up doing that. And creating that same system, that same pattern, that same curse, that same behavior over and over and over, generation after generation after generation. Can't do that anymore, guys. We cannot be having sex outside of marriage and having these kids. We're destroying them. We are destroying them by doing that. Last thing. Sex outside of marriage does not guarantee relationship success. It does not. I've yet to see or read or watch any relationship expert that says sex outside of marriage is going to improve your relationship in the future. It's going to improve your... Never. Have not. There's no guarantee. The lies that are being told. And I understand. Listen, if there was solidarity across the board, if all women said, hey, we're not having sex outside of marriage, like either you're going to marry us or you ain't getting nothing. You're going to be dry. I promise you guys would act up and get right. I don't say act up. They would get straight. They would get their act together. Promise you. Guaranteed they would get their act together. They wouldn't have a choice but to. They would learn to communicate a lot quicker. They would learn to validate your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts a lot quicker. Guaranteed. But we live in a world, again, where they've devalued sex so much that it's like, well, if I don't do it, then I'll never get a guy. It's like, wow, that's the world we live in right now. That's the lie that our young girls are being taught and told. The value of you exists only on what's between your legs. That's crazy. And then they devalue that too. So now you're stuck thinking that I have to give up myself in order to play the game. Because I'm not gonna sleep around, then no guy's gonna want me. They're gonna think I'm a prude. They're going to think I'm too uppity, I'm too holy or anything like that. And it's like, nah, that's not the case. Hold on to your integrity. Have those boundaries. You don't have to give up sex in order to get anyone or anything. And men, same thing, like even on a grander scale. Imagine if every single man said, I'm not having sex before marriage. Let me tell you exactly what happened. This world would become a better place instantaneously off that alone. The world would become a better place. Let me tell you what would happen. The porn industry would dry up. Done. Gone. Right? Because men are the biggest purveyors of porn. Right? The human trafficking industry would dry up. Done. No more kids being sold for sex over and over and over again every single night. Done. It's over with. That's gone. Abortion industry, killing babies, done. Gone. Wouldn't exist. They would dry up as well. What else? They're in the homes, right? So if men said, hey, we're going to wait till we have get married before we have sex, guess what? Now kids are guaranteed to grow up in a 2-parent home with the structure and the love and the nurturing. So now in society's improving all around. That's if every guy had solidarity and said, we're going to treat women across the board. We're going to treat them with the value and the respect that they're due. We're not going to take something so precious for them just for a fling, just for a good time. Tell you guys right now, man, I wish and I really hope people take this message to heart. And I promise you, I'm not here trying to come down on anybody. I'm not here trying to judge anybody. I'm just telling you guys, listen, if we waited to marriage to have sex, a lot of issues we would have in our own lives and in this world would lessen drastically lessen till they're just aberrations. Guys, this is a heavy one. I know it's a heavy one, but guys, we got to talk about it. These are things we got to talk about, right? Because we have a society in a world that's pushing this stuff out and devaluing our men and devaluing our women and sucking us into these cycles where it's like, oh, sex, like it's just it. Sex, like, no, it's too precious. Women, you're too precious to be giving your stuff up to just anybody. And guys, come on, we got to have discipline. We got to hold the line. We're supposed to be leaders, providers, and protectors. They may not be our wives and they may not be our daughters, but daggone, they're still valuable. You should still be holding the door for them. You should still be keeping them safe. You should still be saying, you know what, hey, I know we're feeling each other right now. We're dating and whatnot, and things are getting kind of heavy, but hey, I respect you too much to do that, right? You're worth the wait. Imagine if a guy told a woman, you're worth the wait. I'm not going to do that. Gosh. Imagine what that would do to her self-esteem. Oh, man. Imagine how much more she would love you because she sees the value you have for her. He says, I'm worth the wait. He says he's willing to fight against his own biology and wait on me? Shoot. Now imagine what that marriage looks like at that point in time when you're valuing her that much right there and then. Come on, man. All right. Let me wrap it up, guys. Let me wrap it up because I'm going to get on my soapbox and start going. Guys, women, no sex before marriage. No sex before marriage for all the things that we talked about. We don't want to get STDs. We don't want broken homes. We want relationships to work. We want success. We want each person to feel valued and loved unconditionally. None of that conditional love crap that the world keeps pushing. I'm talking about true unconditional love between a man and a woman where they both listen, they understand, and they validate each other. And they're pouring into one another. And then the sex is a byproduct of the love that they have for one another. And that's real love. And that's real intimacy. And they even have studies that show that people that operate in marriages and relationships like that have better sex than people who have casual sex or people who are in relationships having sex. Because there's something about that when you put the work in. There's something about putting the work in that makes the end result so much better, that makes the byproduct so much better. Oh, man. Think about this. Guys, do you want to be climbing on top of a woman who feels sick on the inside because you're on top of her because she feels that's the only way to get you? Do you really want that thought to be going through her head as you're about to get on top of her? That you're a creep? Or that's, I don't really want to do this, or I feel forced. Who wants that? That's an instant just killer for your libido. Instantly. I would never, ever, ever want that thought going through my wife. The thoughts I want going through my wife's head is, this is my husband. This is the love we have. He loves me. He wants me. I'm going to give myself to him. That's the thoughts I want going through her head. God knows I don't want her thinking like, ew, I really don't want to sleep with him because I don't really like him, or maybe I do like him, but this is the only way I can get to keep him, or that's the only way I can keep him around, or, nah, man, no, guys, women, ladies, gentlemen, please, we have got to save ourselves for marriage. And again, I'm not even coming from no Christian perspective. I'm not coming from any other, my own personal. These are the things, guys, you see this stuff around you. How many conversations do you have with people about, oh, he broke my heart. Oh, she broke my heart. Oh, this, oh, that. Girls ain't nothing but tricks and hoes, blah, blah, blah. Like, how many times do we got to hear these stupid conversations over and over and over and over again before we finally realize and get the point? We need to stop giving ourselves to these people who don't care about us. Because if they truly care about you, they'll value you, and they say, nah, we'll wait. This is it. All right. Guys, we have one more video in the relationship series. And that one's probably going to be just as inflammatory because we're going to be talking about living together before you get married, or living together as you're dating. I know it's going to be inflammatory. Or it might be to some people. I don't know. That the goal of it, again, is not for it to be inflammatory. I want you guys to be able to find love. I want you guys to be able to find long-lasting relationships. I want y'all to do it right so you don't have to go through the things I've went through and other people have went through. We've already been through the minefield. Some of us are maimed, others are dead. We're just trying to say, hey, this path right here, if you follow this path right here, you're good, you're golden. Because we don't want you to feel traumatized. We don't want you to be abused. We don't want you to be in toxic relationships. We don't want you to have your heart broken over and over and over again. We don't want you to have a broken family. We don't want you to have generational curses passed down over and over again. We don't want that. That's what this is about. It's not about coming down on anybody. It's about, man, I don't want y'all to go through the same things that some of us have gone through. when you don't have to. Oh, man. Okay. All right, guys. All right. I'm sorry. I'm passionate about this. I really just want y'all to work. I really want the relationships to work. I really want y'all to find someone who loves you deeply. I want y'all to experience the same love that I experienced in my own relationship. I want you just to get a glimpse of that. And the things we're talking about in this video and the videos before are to get you there. Because as I've always said, you guys are worthy of love. You deserve to be loved. You deserve that. You deserve to have that relationship, that unconditional love. You deserve that. You're worthy of that. You are lovable. You are worthy. You're not a victim. You're a victor. I love you guys. Listen, this comes from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. I promise you I'm not trying to come down on anybody. I promise you I'm not judging anybody or anything like that, right? Because no matter where you are, whether you are in that situation where you're having sex casually, whether you are in a relationship where you're living together, whether you are in a relationship where you've had multiple partners, whatever the case may be, listen, even if it's where you are or where you've been, we could always do better. We can always do different. We can always change right now. Even if you're a single parent, we can change right now. There is hope. There is hope. You guys are not bad people. You're not evil. You're not throwaways. I just told you, you're lovable. You're worthy. I just told you that. You're lovable and you're worthy. But I just want what's best for you. That's all. That's it. I just want what's best for you. Regardless of what society says. Society's a mess, right? So, okay, guys, I love you. You all take care. Have a great, awesome, and blessed day. And I will see you all next time.